established. Okay? So now, consider this for a moment. The length that Yahweh Alahiym went to establish the universal clock consisting of sun, moon, and stars begs the question, does Alahiym function according to a schedule? Think about it. Meditate on it. Pray about it. Does Yahweh Alahiym function according to a schedule? In other words, is there a specific amount of time that we are dealing with? Think about it. Meditate on it. Pray about it. Now consider this. Let's go to Daniel chapter 7 and verse 25, which reads, "And he shall speak great words against the Most High." Once again, who is the he that's being referred to? It's that little horn that comes forth from the fourth beast, or the fourth empire, world-ruling kingdom. The fact that it speaks against the Most High clearly shows that it's not a people that we want to associate with if we are Bible believers, if we are Hebrew, Israelite, Jew, whichever designation you prefer. "And shall wear out the saints of the Most High." So this same power that is speaking against the Most High, if you are a sanctified one who has been set apart, you will be also in the line of fire. And think. Now the reason why I say it's think, because this cannot be altered by anybody, which is why the Creator said it so. But think to change. And see, when you change something, that means you're going to take away the one thing and you're going to replace it with something else. So instead of acknowledging the holy days that the Most High has prescribed, what the world has are what's called holidays. The word holiday is a variation on the word holy day. Okay? And it is totally contrary to the word of the Most High, which we're going to see. But this power shall think to change times and laws. Okay? Now, here's the emphasis and the importance of this being said. Everybody who is a Bible believer, and again, considers himself a Hebrew, Israelite, or Jew, acknowledges that what Moshe was given is the foundation to what we do. It is our life and livelihood. Obeying the instructions, the commands that have been handed down. Included in the commands, which we'll see later on, is the instruction to observe Shabbat, which we took a look at in the first part of the series. But also, they are annual holy days. Because that is inclusive in what we refer to as the Torah, or the law, all Daniel had to say is that this power thinks to change laws, and we know and understand included in that are the times. But the question that we have to ask ourselves, why did he specify times and laws? Putting the emphasis on how important the annual holy days in connection with Shabbat would be to believers, especially in these days and times. Think about that. Okay. So now we have to ask the question, why the movements in the world by this entity, this power, this force, to suppress Shabbat as well as the holy days? Why is that? Let's take a look at Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 4, which reads, "These are the feasts of Yahweh even holy convocations, which you shall proclaim in their seasons. Now, what significance do the holy days have? And what we want to do, we want to take a look at a couple terms used in this verse. So if you give me a moment, once again, I'll prepare the board. This first term, mued. Okay, you find that in Strong's number 4150. Okay, mued. All right. What it simply means is an appointment, a fixed time or season. Okay. Now, the parent root of the term mued comes from these two letters right here. And again, according to the pictographic form, you have the ayin, which is your eye, and you have your dalet, which is your door. Now, when you look at these, now the term ayin and dalet in the Hebrew language is also another term, and what it means is witness. What is a witness? A witness is somebody who has seen something and can testify to what they have saw. But now, when we put these two letters together, these two thoughts form in the parent root, that ayin, which simply means to see, to observe, in connection with dalet, which is door. Now consider the functions of a door. A door opens and closes. In other words, there's a movement. So when you look at the term ed, as is used in the term mued, to see the movement. What movement? That's the question. What movement do we see from observing the holy days? So now, that's the term mued. Other term we want to look at, mikra, or mikra. Okay. Mikra, and that is number 4744. Okay, now what this term means, something called out, a public meeting, also a rehearsal. Think about that. So now let's take a look at the parent root for the term mikra, which is the kuf and the resh. Now, we took a look at this. This is a picture of the sun at its horizon. Now, when you think about the sun at the horizon, you also have what's considered to be a gathering of light. Again, whenever you're looking at a particular letter, you have to consider the letter in all of its possible functions to better understand what the meaning of the word is now being utilized in. So you have the kuf for the horizon, gathering of light, but then you also have the resh. Once again, we have the head of man. Okay. So now, with the term mikra, which means something called out, what we have here, a gathering of men. Think about it. A gathering of men. So when it says here, holy convocations, or a sanctified or set apart gathering of men, this is what this is referring to. We're going to see something to tie into that as we go on. Now, there are some of my brothers and sisters out there, Hebrew, Israelite, and Jew, who do not accept the New Testament teachings The question is, why? Because from my studies, what I have found, contrary to what Christianity teaches, the New Testament in no way, shape, or form contradicts what Moshe has given to us. Okay? As a matter of fact, what we find in Romans chapter 7 and verse 14, Brother Shaul, or Brother Paul, something that he writes when he's writing a letter to the assembly established in Rome. He says, for we, and when he refers to the we, he's talking about the Israelites, the Jews. For we know that the law, the Torah, or the instructions, is spiritual. What does that mean? Simply put, there are underlying meanings. And what Mashiach, Yahushua, came to do, not to take away or destroy what Moshe has established, but as the Bible says, he says this, it pleased Yahweh for his righteousness' sake to magnify the Torah, and make it honorable. How was it magnified? Because now what we can do, we can go back and we look at what the Torah teaches in its basic element, in its basic command, and we see that he's talking about something much greater, something much different. And we're going to see that as it pertains to the holy days, and why even to this day it is important that we observe them. Okay, so now, for we know that the law is spiritual. We want to understand that. And also, just to continue the passage, but, and what he's going to show, there's a contrast. I am carnal, sold under sin. In other words, because of my carnal state, my carnal nature, the spirituality of the word is difficult for me to grasp. Hence, Ruach HaKodesh. But let's continue. 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 14, which reads, and again, here's Brother Shaul in another letter that he's writing to an assembly that he establishes in Corinth, which reads, but the natural man, and when he said the natural man, he's talking about, as he mentioned pertaining to himself, the carnally minded man, receiveth not the things of the Spirit of Allah. Now, when I use the term Allah, it is a Hebrew term, okay, pure Hebrew. When you hear the Arabic Allah, when they refer to the Most High, they refer to it as if it's a personal name. Incorrect. My apologies to my Muslim brothers and sisters out there, but Allah is not a personal name. It is simply a title. The name of the Most High is Yah. Keep that in mind. It says, but the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of Allah, for they are foolishness unto him. Neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. In other words, it takes revelation by Ruach HaKodesh, the same spirit that led Moshe and the other prophets to prophesy or to write the prophecies that they were given. It takes that same spirit to understand what the Most High is saying. And if I can interject something that one of the forefathers said, Yusuf, what he said was this. And when they were asking him about the dream, this is when he was in prison.